Have you ever sat in a lecture hall with an instructor while they're talking real fast with a slideshow behind them with graphics and even more text while you were vigorously trying to take notes? Has that ever happened to you? Well, it has happened to me, and I remember not enjoying that class very much. I remember my head hurting afterwards and trying to read my notes was nearly impossible. I really wish my instructor would have used the Modality Principle while creating their instruction.
In this presentation, we'll define and describe what the Modality Principle is, why it is so important to use while creating multimedia instruction.
Take the time to think to yourself, how do I learn the best? Did you learn by reading everything? What about graphics? Someone reading to you? Or was it the combination of all these things? Think back to your favorite class. Why was it your favorite? Does it have to do with how the information was presented to you? The Modality Principle of e-learning in the simplest terms can be described as presenting words as speech rather than on-screen text. The thought behind this is that learners learn better when new information is explained by audio narration than on-screen text. This principle works best when the material is complex for the learner. Looking at this principle in a psychological view, the learner easily acquires information from audio narration rather than visually reading text because learners will experience an overload from their pictorial channel when they must simultaneously process the graphics and printed words. It is a visual overload when the learner must attend to the printed words and process the graphics all at the same time. Take a look at this example. Does it follow the Modality Principle? Can you efficiently learn from this presentation? Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was a child prodigy, which means he could play and write music as well as an adult when he was just a little boy. He was born over 250 years ago in Austria. He was homeschooled. Mozart lived only to be about 35 years old, but wrote over 600 compositions at that time. Mozart's Requiem Mass in D minor was composed in 1791 and was left unfinished at the time of his death. Mozart composed his first 30 symphonies by the age of 18. Mozart was one of the greatest composers of the classical period. So after looking at this example, what changes can we make to it to better follow the Modality Principle? Take the time and jot down some ideas that you may have that will better allow this presentation to follow the Modality Principle. Did you get these? Too much text on the screen, reading word for word the captions on the screen, and too many visuals on one page. Let's see what happens when we apply these changes. So here is the same presentation, but edited with the changes that we just discussed. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, child prodigy, which means he could play and write music as well as an adult when he was just a little boy. He was born in Austria. He was homeschooled. He lived to be only 35, however he composed 600 compositions. Mozart Requiem Mass in D minor was composed in 1791 and was left unfinished at the time of his death. Mozart composed his first 30 symphonies by the age of 18. Mozart was one of the greatest composers of the classical period. Wow! Using these ideas makes it an entirely different presentation. With these changes, did you find that you learned the material with more ease? I hope after reviewing these two examples, it's clear that using the Modality Principle is so beneficial to e-learning. So let's have an open discussion on how and why this principle is so important.